slogan.
Yeah,
Botox is giving patients with spastic vocal cords back their voices. Now, who could possibly come up with a marketing slogan like that?
Well, that's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm asking. Who gave you that statement?
Well, you mentioned a fellow by the name of Mitchell F. Brin. Now, tell me a little bit more about him.
Brin was in the article as a senior vice president of development. He's on the payroll of Allergan now. And he is the one in
But he's not cited by Donald McNeil Jr.
What's that? No, he's not.
He's not cited by Donald G. McNeil Jr. in his article as giving him that statement.
No, he's not. So who gave him the statement? Now, there's something very
interesting. Let me ask you this. This is another question. In your learned and educated view, having really looked at this and examined this, is it within the realm of possibility that a statement like Botox is giving patients back with spastic vocal cords back their voices, is it possible that somebody like Mitchell F. Brin could have given him that statement, Donald G. McNeil Jr.?
Yeah, he could have gotten that from someone who is knowledgeable in the field of Botox.
So Brin could have given him a statement. We don't know if he gave it to him.
We don't know. It's a possibility. But somebody who is involved in the marketing of Botox would know to come up with that statement because they're selling Botox for the rest of your life, and the New York Times is not telling you that. It's not telling you the cost. It's not telling you that dosage is iffy and it's Russian roulette, and they're not telling you, this is the classic, they're not telling you that Mitchell F. Brin, a neurologist who brought Botox to the field in 1984, in 1991, and March 11th, a year before he did the sourcing for Janie Brody's, that Botox and surgery are the treatments of choice for spasmodic dysphonia. This article, this statement, does not tell you that Mitchell F. Brin said at 3 p.m., I believe, March 10th, before hundreds of people, that he wants to withdraw Botox at the earliest possible time, fearing the long-term downside effects on the body. When asked what would they do without Botox, he said, there are other substances. Now, that statement disappeared from the radar screen. I never saw it again. I never read about it.
What was he referring to as other substances?
Benign substances, possibly, but other substances than Botox.
Other drugs?
Other drugs.
But who's to say whether these other drugs would be any safer or any better than Botox?
That's not the issue. He's saying that he wants to withdraw Botox at the earliest possible time, fearing the long-term downside effects.
What you were mentioning was that Brin was bringing up the fact that there were other treatments for spasmodic dysphonia, including a non-invasive treatment that you developed 35 years ago called direct voice rehabilitation. Now, do you believe Brin would have brought that up?
No. No, he's not.
So he's not going to bring up that there's an option to drug treatment?
He objects to the fact I report ongoing cures of spasmodic dysphonia. And interestingly enough, at this conference, I was on the panel. There were 9 experts to be. And they took me off the panel at that time because after putting me on the panel, the medical panel, I'm a PhD, the only PhD on the panel, reporting cures. Nobody else reports cures in the world of spasmodic dysphonia by direct voice rehabilitation, or that I know of any doctor doing so. They took me off the panel and put me in the audience. And the PR there in the newsletter said, although I presented cures from the audience, given 5 minutes, not a half an hour that the various panel members had, reporting cures, they only reported the medical panel saying there are no cures. Therefore, I don't exist.
So you've been basically
this program was sponsored by Allergan. Allergan has not allowed me to be at any of its major meetings reporting cures.
Do you think that has anything to do with the fact that you present an alternative treatment to their drug treatment?
Well, it threatens, I believe. It's not what they have in mind for their bottom line. If I'm reporting ongoing cures for 35 years by DVR, direct voice rehabilitation, and it's all natural, non-invasive, non-risk, that Dr. Brin is talking about, that he fears the long-term downside effects on the body. Now, they're also saying, hey, Botox is 99% safe and effective. I'm not finding that clinically. I have case after case after case showing that there are various serious side effects, or that Botox after 40 shots, 45 shots, 50 shots, 20 shots, 30 shots, 5 shots, 1 shot, has not filled the bill that it's 99% effective. It is not.
What does it do
from my experience?
Your experience to individuals' voices once they've received Botox therapy? Do they have improvements in their voices? Are their voices?
Go into outer space. Ira Newborn, we mentioned him. We had him on as a guest. Had a Botox shot at UCLA Medical Center. Denise Proudfoot had Botox shots at UCLA Medical Center. It's not a negative to UCLA. They're doing what everybody else is doing, and Botoxing spastic vocal cords and treating it medically. What the point is that you have the best Dr. Brin, Dr. Blitzer, Dr. Peek Wu, Dr. Bastian, Chicago, the creme de la creme. It's not just them. It's the fact that they are.
What about Dr. Blitzer? Is he in there too?
Yeah, he's there too. He Botoxed a person recently, and
we hear about his patients all the time.
Yeah, and well, some of them. There's some, but I'm saying that Botox is not 99% effective. It's now coming down to 80%. They say it's now coming down to 60%. My take is that they can come up with a statistic, but Disraeli said there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. I'm citing the cases that are not fulfilling what that statement on the front page of the New York Times said. Botox is giving those with spastic vocal cords back their voices. I don't believe in it. I don't accept it. Clinically, I have proof that it's not so, and they're making a general blitheful statement as an ad, and it strikes me as a handout from a drug company or from a cadre of those involved.
I'm glad you're mentioning that, how a front-page article in a major publication like the New York Times can actually be an infomercial or an advertisement.
It is an infomercial.
Okay. Do you see, and I know that I want you to see the parallel between the statements by Judith Miller. I want to go back to that and show you the parallel with your particular situation. She made blatant statements, repeated statements in her articles for almost a 2-year period that Saddam Hussein was stockpiling weapons of mass destruction. She cited proof about aluminum tubes connected with, we're talking about nuclear potential capability. She cited issues related to mobile germ laboratories that were provided. And her source, her source was Scooter Libby, and his source was Ahmed Shalabi. Now, Ahmed Shalabi is an ex-exile, wanted to take over Iraq, wanted to become the next Saddam Hussein over there. He worked for the CIA, and that was the source of much of the intelligence. Now, a lot of people like to cite the information. Well, this guy is out there. Everybody else believed this too. Well, there's a lot of people that believe that Botox, gives patients with spastic vocal cords back their voices, but that doesn't mean, because there's a lot of people that believe it, that it's not brainwashed. Remember that Brin's discovery occurred in 1984, the same year that Orwell talked about how Big Brother tends to, and the big institutions have a way of twisting reality and brainwashing people. So it's possible that medical profession that you talk about, that you have a great deal of admiration and respect because these people are sincerely committed to helping patients, it's possible that many of these doctors are brainwashed.
Well, they're brainwashed. They believe in a theory of paradigm that has never reported one single cure ever since 1871. They're gung-ho, given the cadre, to do Botox for strangled voices. They don't have a single cure. They're overreaching and overstating the effect of 99% safe and effective.
Peggy Aiken?
Yes, she came to my office on October 14th, 2000, said that she has nothing to hide. I was going to tape her, and I did tape her because I said I have some concern about why she's there. And she was trying to dissuade me from reporting cures of spasmodic dysphonia. She comes from the NSDA.
And she made certain promises to you, didn't she?
Yeah, she'd feature me in the NSDA, National Spasmodic Dysphonic newsletter, which gets donations of money from Allegan.
And you might even get referrals from them if you recanted
I'm not
on
interested
your cures,
in a
right?
referral. Folks, thank you very much for joining with me on Botox and the New York Times. It's a fascinating story.
But here's the point about Aiken. She's an employee. She told me personally, I interviewed her. She told me that the people at Allergan are marvelous people.
They are marvelous people.
They sponsor all of her conferences.
And she sets them up.
And they're lavish.
And she was going to get me at one of those
wonderful
conferences.
buffets. They have these lavish meals.
There's nothing wrong with...
And they put it at major hotels.
Peggy Aiken was on Botox for a long period of time. She got off it, and it wasn't working for her. She's a very wonderful